The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect those of WPSL. However, we are the ones who've always encouraged you to like and share them on social media and with all your friends and neighbors, because right now, independent insurance agent Rudy Howard presents the African American Scene, and it's actually hosted by the one and only Rudy Howard.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Always glad to be with you here on a Wednesday night. Let me first shout out to Jay. Jay is usually listening. Your gift came back. So please call Cliff and give him your address so I can resend your gift to you. I did send it to you, but it came back in the mail. I would also tell you, this brother here makes a mean pot of corned beef and cabbage. And my son's wife has already put in her request because when I make it, they come over here and they gobble it up. So I will be making my corned beef and cabbage Friday morning, the pride of my household. I just want to tell you tonight, it is my esteemed pleasure to provide you with my guest, who is a person I've known for some 20 years. He wrote a book called Leaving Charleston Harbor. I'm going to put it up here so Cliff can show you. This is the cover of the book. Leaving Charleston Harbor. And he is a good man. Donald Watson has been married to Paula for 38 years, and he has 2 kids. And he is my frat brother. This gentleman is originally from Akron, Ohio, home of you-know-who, LeBron James. Donald, say hello.
Good evening. How's everyone doing? I just want to say it's actually 3 kids and 2 grandkids.
Okay, thank you for correcting me. I lost track. That's okay.
No worries.
And he went from Akron, Ohio to Yale for college. That was quite a feat. And then he went off to law school at the University of Miami. And here's another little tidbit for you. He was a partner at Willie Gary's law firm. And in addition to all the other things that I've mentioned and his accomplishments, he is now an ordained minister, and he's retired from practicing law. He has agreed to provide a signed copy of his book if you can answer his trivia question. So he's going to give you a trivia question, and if you can answer it, you will get a copy of Leaving Charleston Harbor, which is a kid's book. So, Donald, I enjoyed the book.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. How did you come up with Robert Smalls?
I was watching a PBS special about heroes from the past, and Skip Gates was interviewing a gentleman regarding the amazing escape that Robert Smalls engineered through planning, careful watching, gathering signals, etc. It's amazing because he was born in enslavement, but the same law that hold him down, he finally became a lawmaker of the law. So he escaped from slavery and became a legislator, both for the South Carolina legislature and the United States legislature. But he also became a businessman and helped form several businesses. And since the writing of the book, February 28th, the U.S. Navy has recognized Robert Smalls as a Civil War hero and has named a naval ship after Robert Smalls. So
That
he's
uh,
really an amazing young man,
that's pretty
amazing in
awesome.
history. Yes, sir.
They named the ship after him?
They named the ship after him, the USS Robert Smalls. That's correct.
Oh, wow, that is awesome. That is awesome. How did you come up with the book format?
Well, I have been a reader to Head Start students, elementary school students, private daycare center students, and also private school students, normally at the pre-K or kindergarten, elementary level. And I know that, a la Dr. Seuss, they like rhyme and rhythm. So one of the key things is about getting the attention of young readers and I call them young leaders too, is to do something that's a catchy format. So I write very often in a poetic form, and Dr. Seuss used it to a great degree. The poetic form again helps keep their attention, and also allows them to gain the information as they're also learning how to read themselves.
Donald, you haven't given us that trivia question yet.
Okay, I'll give you the trivia question. Jackie Robinson was the first African American to play in the National League in the modern era. I mean, this was after Fleetwood Walker several years ago. The gentleman who was the first African American in the American League, I'll give you a big hint, was once voted the number one center fielder in the majors, above the great Joe DiMaggio. What is his name? The first African American player in the modern era in the American League.
Ooh, that's a good one. So if you know the answer to that trivia question, call up at 4340-1590, and he's agreed to give you a signed copy of his children's book, Leaving Charleston Harbor. Again, that phone number is 340-1590. And Jay, if you're listening again, you need to call in and give us an updated address because your gift came back. So that's interesting.
The operator's standing by to take the call too, by the way.
Okay. So that's very interesting. So your experience working with kids allowed you to come up with the format. I thought the question and answer section in the back of the book was very creative. What made you decide to do that?
To be brutally honest with you, we needed some more room to get the book in the format that was set out by the printer. So I said, wow, this is an excellent opportunity, because very often when I'm reading to children, I learned this at a daycare center, at a Head Start center, I like to go back and ask questions, because in addition to they're learning the actual mechanics of reading, it's crucial for them to also gain the information and also learn reading comprehension. So the question and answers gave us an opportunity to have the students go back and review the material and make sure they are getting the actual accurate information. It's interesting because we did a couple questions at a daycare center in Sebring, Florida, and in Avon Park, Florida, and then we also did it here down in Stewart, Florida. And for instance, we asked the question, whose clothing did Robert Smalls put on? And both times the students answered correctly, the captain's clothing.
Uh-huh. Interesting. After such a successful legal career, and most of you, if you've known Donald Watson at all, he's one of the key members of the Willie Garrett law firm. You go to children's books. What a pretty dramatic change.
Yes, it is a dramatic change, but in a sense, it's kind of logical, because we've always believed that God has given us a lot and we owe a lot. Even when I was growing up, there were several persons in our community who reached back and gave me a hand and actually, kind of helped pull me forward and encourage me. As a matter of fact, when we go to Charleston next week, I plan on stopping by Savannah to meet with and have lunch with a young man who mentored me in law school. So mentorship has been always important to us. We've done events at the law firm and also in the community in Stewart. We do a kids carnival and also an event where we bring in stars from the celebrities, and they encourage young people. They come in. Chris Tucker's been there, and numerous others, Monique and different ones. So we try to give back, and that's a part of why we're here. I think one of the, and I'm not, this isn't original, but one of the costs of breathing God's air is to help somebody. So I try to do what I can to try to have a positive impact. I don't want to be remembered as just a trial lawyer, but I want to be remembered, not anytime soon, because I'm glad to still be here, but I want to be remembered as someone who had a positive impact and also someone who helped children to be the best that they could be.
Well, how do we get other people to think like that? How do we get other people to understand breathing God's air means you're supposed to try to help your fellow human being?
Well, we all have needs, and we all have had someone to help us meet those needs. Now, there's such a need. There's such a need for young people to develop positive self-concepts. When we read the paper, we need to understand that too often young people show a disconnect from their own family teachings and training, as well as the training that we've learned, that we continue to learn from our history, from people in history. Because just like Robert Smalls and Daniel Hill Williams and so many others in history, they didn't have easy circumstances, but they refused to let their circumstances hold them down. They overcame their circumstances. And if we look back on our success, I'm sure we've all had challenges, but we've had to overcome them. And if we look back, there's someone who helped us to overcome them. So we need to really think about, where would we be were it not for God, and also for our parents, and were it not for others in the community who cared enough to reach back and say, you can make it too, come forward. So we really need to spread the word out. We need to get the word out. We have matter of fact, I heard from Professor Nancy Tolson at the University of South Carolina. She was also on a special about Robert Smalls. I sent her a book, and I said, we're trying to get the book out to every Head Start student. That's a mission we have, because we want everyone to be aware of the need. We're always learning. So it's a learning process for all of us. We always want to be aware of the need to help somebody else, because when someone else is helped, we're all helped. It's God's earth. So everyone that we can assist, it makes the earth a better place.
Well, you're certainly not going to get any argument out of me on that. And one of the things that I think is most important, which often gets overlooked, for someone to be successful, they need help, and they have to have a clear vision and hope for accomplishing that vision. That's very, very important. And hope is an elixir that someone can drink in, and it will help them move forward in ways that they have never imagined. For me, fortunately, I had a mother and a father, and my mother was constantly telling me that I could be anything I wanted to be. And the other
Yes,
thing,
sir.
she told me, which used to make me mad, when I was in high school, she said, "You're going to college."
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And
Yes,
at
sir.
one point, stupid me, I said, I'm not going to go to college. They can't tell me what to do. But guess what? I ended up going to college. So
and you're doing continue to do extremely well with it. Absolutely.
absolutely. But it was that motivation, and I'm not sure all kids get that motivation in it. And contrary to what many conservatives say, it's nice to have a mother and a father. And I think that's the most appropriate format. But mothers can give kids a serious motivation that can let them go forward, as long as they help them with that vision of hope. That I think is so important. How much of a shock was it from you to go from Akron, Ohio to New Haven, Connecticut?
It was an extreme shock because even though I was born 1 year before the Brown versus Board of Education decision, the word had not yet reached Akron, Ohio. So when I was going to school in Akron, Ohio, I attended predominantly Black schools. I attended segregated schools. And I remember having books with someone else's name on it. It wasn't my name. And I remember old desks. But I do remember some teachers who always instilled in us that hope. In the Robert Smalls book, we talk about how he was a genius, and he was a genius. He had an excellent plan, a brilliant plan, but he also had hope because he was in a hopeless situation, being considered by the law a piece of property. So his wife told him, you and I and the children have to be free. So where you die, I'll die. But they had hope that their plan could work. So yes, our parents instilled in us hope. I didn't understand that there was such a problem with dropping out of high school because all 8 of my siblings graduated from high school. Half of us have college degrees. A few of us have post-college training. There was always hope that we could get a good education, and with that, we could make a good living. We never lost hope. And I say that to listeners and to young people, never, ever, ever lose hope. It's crucial.
And there's another thing that's kind of important that you touched on. The kids that I grew up with and hung around, I never heard one of them say they were not going to finish high school.
Exactly.
I thought finishing high school was just the norm. You know, I may have acted a little stupid about going to college, but there was no question in my mind. It never even crossed my mind that I was going to drop out of high school. So I guess that's a byproduct of being surrounded by people with similar ideals. And I once gave a speech to the graduating class of Centennial, which I'll call my fork in the road speech. And in that speech, I told those graduating seniors, for the first time, you're coming to a path where you're going to go down one road, and some of your friends are going to go down another road, and you have to be strong enough to leave them behind.
Exactly.
You know.
Yes, sir. And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
And you talk about hanging around people with similar ideas or going in a similar direction. That is so important. I mean, because sometimes I was a juvenile prosecutor. I've done a lot of different things, and sometimes I'd see that 2 or 3 people together would commit a crime. Well, one might not have done it on his own. I was thinking about a horrible example. I'm a University of Miami fan forever. I don't care if we go 0-12, but Sean Taylor was at his home. The great Sean Taylor was at his home minding his own business. These 4 young men who had at least a decent future ahead of them drove all the way from Fort Myers over to the Broward County area to break into his home. It occurred to me, didn't somebody think, drop me off at the rest stop, I'll get a ride home. This is crazy. I'm going to go home and get a job, get a GED or whatever. But it's just so crazy that they all ran over there. They all went over there. Somebody shot him. I think it was a femoral artery they shot him. He bled to death, and they're all charged with felony murder. It's just so important for us to hang around people who have similar ideas, not people who are going to drag us down. And that's important for young people. Peer pressure is, I know it's important. It's important to be liked by your peers, but it's important not to let your peers drag you down if they're going in the wrong direction.
So true, so true. What do you plan more books?
I plan more books. We have a book about Ruby Bridges. It's called actually, it's called Marching 2 by 2, but it's from a Norman Rockwell. It's inspired by a Norman Rockwell painting, The Problem We All Live With, how Ruby Bridges had to have the federal marshals with her as she's going to school. We have about Garrett Morgan, who came up with the idea of traffic light, Daniel Hale Williams that I mentioned earlier. And we have others too. We have some from the Bible. We have David, we have Queen Esther, Ruth, and we have one about the great Babe Ruth. So yes, we have a variety of books that we copyrighted, and we're working on getting them illustrated. And my son, who's a professional graphic designer, remember his company is Watts.us, but he's illustrating one about Wilma Rudolph, who is an absolutely amazing example of hope, because she's born crippled, polio and whatever, and she didn't let polio keep her from being a multiple gold medal winner at the 1960 Olympics. So yes, we have a group of them coming out. Yes, sir. But it's a time matter. We got to work on expediting them. But yes, we definitely have plans to get those out very soon.
So this is your first one.
This is my first one. Yes, sir.
Okay, but that's exciting. So if people want to contact you and keep up with the books you're releasing, how can they get in touch with you?
They can get in touch with me. They can call my mobile, 772-285-8406. There's also at 772-285-8406. There's also our website, which is championshipchronicles.com, because the name of the series is Championship Chronicles. We try to encourage young people to find the champion that's inside of them and emphasize that. So yes, so the championshipchronicles.com. We have Instagram, Facebook, and also I'm on regular Facebook. So by all means, we encourage folks to check out the website. You can order the books right through the website. It's on Amazon, and Barnes and Nobles, Walmart, and some other Books A Million, some others, other sites. So yes, but for sure the website, championshipchronicles.com.
Okay, and once again, we're getting to the end of Donald's visit here. If you want to call and ask him questions, please, 340-1590. But before we wrap this up, Donald, one of the things I want to touch on, you're an ordained minister.
Yes, sir.
I always knew you to be a strong man of God, but I did not realize that you had taken that extra step. Where were you ordained?
I was ordained in 2013. It's been about almost 10 years.
Okay. Where did you do your formal training?
It's been it was on the job training at Resurrection Life Family Worship Center in Fort Pierce under Apostle Trevor Banks, and also Pastor Phil Upton was there for a long time. So I don't have an actual, at this time, I don't have a ministry degree, although I intend to work towards that. But yes, leadership training. Then I've done leadership training we've done training in Africa, Kigali, Rwanda, and just a lot of on-the-job training and formal leadership training from various teachers, but through Resurrection Life primarily.
Yes, I've met Trevor Banks, and he's a good man. I've attended the church a couple of times. I noticed,
yes, sir,
that you put several Bible verses in your book.
Yes, sir.
That was very interesting.
Yes, and I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yes, and I also want to say the email address is info@championshipchronicles.com. info@championshipchronicles.com. But yes, we try to do a couple Bible verses that kind of captured kind of what we're trying to do. One of them is train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. And that's something that we as parents and grandparents need to walk out every day. Another one is I can do anything through Christ who strengthens me, Philippians 4:13. So we want, again, young people to understand that nothing is impossible for God. Nothing is too hard for God. So as long as we stay within Him, then we can accomplish everything that is for us to accomplish. And I want young people never to give up on life, never to give up on love, never to give up on hope, and definitely never give up on family, never give up on themselves.
Well,
so, yeah,
sir,
that's a message that has helped me throughout the years. Yes, sir. No matter how hard it gets. Yes, sir.
yeah, I would say you've made quite an accomplishment from Akron, Ohio to New Haven, Connecticut to Miami, Florida, and finally landing here in Stuart, Florida. Now living in Port St. Lucie, if I got you correctly.
That's correct. That's correct. Yes, sir. And we give God all the glory. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And before I close out with you, do you have any parting words for my audience?
Just want to say, young people, if something looks too good to be true, it probably is. There is no substitute for belief in God, belief in yourself. There's no substitute for hard work, focus, putting in the time and the positive things. Always remember, you, as Jesse Jackson would say, you are somebody. You are, you are definitely somebody. So you always got to remember to find the best in yourself. Don't dwell on your mistakes. We have all made mistakes. Let those go. That's in the past. But dwell on your future and make sure that you're always on the right path to the goals that you set for yourself, and always maintain hope. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I hope y'all wrote that down. I'm sure Cliff wrote the information down. And please follow up with Donald if you would like to keep up with his series of books. They're really pretty awesome. He gave me a copy that I gave to my son for his kids. And we're going to take a break, and we're going to come right back. So don't you turn that dial.
You're listening to the African American Scene with Rudy Howard. We'll take a little break right here, but we'll be right back. Just a little short break. Maybe you want to call in 340-1590 and chat with Rudy. He'll be more than happy to talk to you. Why don't you do that? We'll be right back with more Rudy Howard's African American Scene.
Hi, this is Rudy Howard, your independent insurance agent. I now specialize in Medicare, health insurance, and small group insurance. That number is 475-8856. Same great service, more flexible hours. Just give me a call, 475-8856.
This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
Welcome back to part 2 of Rudy Howard's African American Scene. And once again, here's your host, the one and only Rudy Howard.
Well, that was really, really, really awesome. And I am so thankful to my frat brother, Donald Watson. And I will be keeping track of his books, and I make sure the series is available to my grandkids.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, let me change the pace a little bit here. I want to make you aware of some diabolical activities going on in Tallahassee. They're right now entertaining what's called the Ultimate Cancel Act. It's SB 1248. let me tell you what that is, because I want you all to wake up, because some of you are sleeping. It directs the State Division of Elections to immediately cancel the filings and status of any party that has previously advanced for or supported slavery. Now, that is slick. Now, you know, if you know anything about history, before most have moved, before many moved from Republican to Democrat, the Democratic Party was largely the one that that supported slavery. So their theory is that Democrats have often chastised them for improper language or words. So this is kind of trying to pay back. The bill was introduced on March 7th, 2023. So the bill was just introduced. That is an amazing, amazing thing that they're trying to pass. Now, we don't know if it's going to pass yet, but this Republican Congress in Tallahassee is really trying to destroy the Democratic Party. Here's what I think those of us that are Democrats need to consider. We are most times on the right side of issues. However, that message is not getting through to the masses. We need to figure out why. The bill would require Democratic Party to re-register as a new party with a name substantially different. So they want to take away the name of the Democratic Party completely. And I will also tell you, this SB 1248, they're trying to push it in several other states. The Democratic voters would be listed as having no party. All Democrats would have to register with the new party. There is a stated goal by the GOP in Florida. They're trying to get every Democrat out of office. And in our county alone, they have been very successful. They removed several successful Democrats out of office, and they have been so intimidating that several of the Democrats in office have changed parties. And tonight I'm asking a question. Why can't we get through to people that our goal is not to just spend money? Our goal, we are more of a party that is humane. We're concerned about humanity. Now, if you can get somebody to actually talk to you, my brother-in-law, Larry, has been talking to his next door neighbor, who's a Trumper. And that neighbor asked, Larry, tell me something that Biden has done for us. If you recall last week, I went over a list of options and achievements under the Biden administration. Now, what I want you guys to get is those achievements are not Democratic achievements, which I got to get that through your head, because I know most of you are listening are conservatives. They're people achievements. They're going to benefit you. For the most part, we're not about doing things that just benefit Democrats. We try to do things that benefit people. Does that make us bad? That makes you want to run away from Democrats because they think about humanity? Donald, if you want to chime in, please do.
Oh, thank you, sir. Now we need to understand that yeah, the benefits, when mankind is benefited, when everyone is lifted up, that we as a country are lifted up. You know, when we eradicate poverty and eradicate ignorance, eradicate illiteracy, when we do things like that, you know, the nation benefits, the whole person, the whole population benefits. And that humanity factor, that care for mankind, that's something we have to emphasize. Because too often now in politics we see that the people are not, you know, well, we've seen it where the well-being of the people is not what's first and foremost. But the things that have been done by the Democratic Party to benefit the people are for all of us.
Yes. That's kind of what blows my mind, you know, and here's one of the other things that I've done, and like Larry has done. I have on several occasions sat with a strong conservative, and some I cannot reach at all, but others I've sat with and said, okay, now tell me, what do you think Democrats stand for? And they tell me, and none of the things they think we stand for. And some of the things that we support, they're surprised we support. So there is a failure. And I'm going to say this because I know I probably have several of my Democratic club members who are listening in. There is a failure of us to properly communicate the message. And I am and at the meeting the other night, we had Helen Laurie, who ran for office. She talked about how Democrats have become fearful even of saying they're Democrat, and how some members in some of the offices are switching parties. We got to get to the root of that. We really do. You have any thoughts about that, Donald?
Yes, we do have to find out what exactly is it. I mean, what exactly is it that's causing people to abandon principles that are at the good of mankind. I was thinking about this January 6th. I looked at the hearings, and I was thinking about, like for instance, like with Liz Cheney, I'm saying, well, she stood for what was right, you know, but the Republican Party just did away with her. I mean, just what they call primaried her, et cetera. She had the gall to say, look, I'm going to stand up for what's right and decent, regardless of what's popular. And those are the kind of folks that we need, folks who will stand up for what's right and proper and for what's humane. And also just want to add, thank you so much, Rudy, for bringing it to our attention that this SB 1248 is before the state legislature now, because we need to study it. I commit myself to studying it, and also to following up with our Congress, you know, with our congresspersons also, because it's just one of the indicators of how drastic things are now, how drastic things are in terms of the changes they're trying to bring about and intimidating people and that kind of thing. It's just it's not. I haven't seen it like this before in my, not quite like this in my 69 years. Yes, sir.
Me either. In my 71 years, I have not seen it like this. Just the thought of somebody trying to pass a bill like this now, and I have to say, and I don't care if you report me to Ron DeSantis or not, I think it is disgusting that he would even consider signing this bill if it should get to his desk, because it's unclear whether it will get there now. But the effect this would have, and the number again is 340-1590, is to get Democrats unregistered and make it harder for them to register if they remove everybody who was associated with the Democratic Party. That is just, and first off, though, I just got to say, it is diabolical that they would do it, and they really, really nervy that they would bring such a measure forth. I'm not sure what we need to do, but one of the things I am sure of is we need to refine our message. We need to be able to sit down and to talk to some of these conservatives who have far-fetched ideas about who we are and what we stand for. You know, and I've talked about this on my show more times than I can count. There is no doubt that African Americans love this country.
Yes, sir. No doubt.
This is our country, man. I love this country. Now, I criticize it not because I don't love her. I want her to be better.
Exactly.
I want her to allow me to realize all that is written in the Constitution for Americans. And we got Jay on line one.
Rudy.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
Go ahead, Jay.
Hello. Okay. Rudy, I just wanted to, you're talking about what DeSantis is doing in Tallahassee. He has another bill out. Would you? Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
He has another bill out that want to make it where nobody has to get a license for a gun. In other words, you can it's not open carry, but you can get a gun without giving out any information. If you're a felon or whatever, it doesn't really matter to him. He just says that he's going to open up. It's going to be, you know, where you can go get a gun without being registered or leaving any kind of information or background check or nothing like that. So that's what he's planning. That's part of what's going on in Tallahassee. Also, he's trying to do all of these crazy things, and I'm trying to figure out what is the federal government going to do about all of this, because the big thing is gun violence in this country. We kill people in the United States and all the other countries in Europe.
Well, from what I understand, I saw part of it today. I didn't catch all of it. Biden has passed some additional executive orders regarding gun registration. So that's a good thing, because we can't seem to get Congress to make a move on doing something about guns. And Jay, did you give Cliff your last name?
I gave him all the information.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right.
The second thing I want to say, and I appreciate your guest, he brought up a lot of good points. But what's going on now? We have to galvanize out the people, Democrats, whether DeSantis likes it or not, the Democratic Party, and let them know that we can't, let's let him just take advantage of us. He just thinks that he's God, and he has a terrible, all of his things that he's trying to do is hurting humanity. It's hurting. It's actually causing. I guess he has aspirations on being a dictator, and he wants fascism. I guess that's where he's a friend of. Well, he's from Italy, so he must be a friend of Mussolini. He must be a Mussolini follower. The way he talks. That's the first thing that came to my mind was Mussolini.
Yeah.
That's where, his ancestors come from. So maybe that's part of his politics. But he's not going to bring that here, to the United States. I don't know what Biden and the rest of the Democrats in Washington are doing about it, but somebody's going to have to stand up and mobilize and get people out and make sure we take back the governorship, whether he runs for president or not. Take care.
Yes. I think he's right. I think we have to mobilize. We have to get people concerned, and I am going to extend an invitation to any conservative that wants to sit down and talk to me about my values and their conservative values. And I think you'll find that in many cases, we're not that far apart, but you have somehow, they have allowed who we are to be distorted in your mind, especially as we have discovered Fox has been lying. Yes. and doing so, and it is not even speculation anymore. It's caught in text clearly. And we got Winnie on line one. Yes, Winnie.
Hey, thank you for the Easter house ticket.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I saw on the news Mark Lee and Lois Lee, his wife, on News 25 News. But then somebody had his son had got shot or something in 2021. They wanted to go to Tallahassee.
And actually, Mark Leith and Lois Leith are very good friends of mine. And I attended the funeral of their son. And I am so glad that they're getting justice, because the day that their son was buried and I was in the funeral home with them, they hadn't yet found out who did it, but I'm glad that that has happened. And I know it'll give them some mental relief.
And if they will go to Tallahassee or something.
That they're going to Tallahassee? I didn't hear that.
I didn't know he got married up. I didn't know. So I was seeing on the news and everything. Oh, okay, then take care. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, thank you, Winnie. Donald, did you know Mark Leith?
Yes, I know Mark and Lois. Matter of fact, they used to own a pharmacy up in
Yes.
Pierce. I don't know if they retired or what, but I think they went back. But I know them well. I didn't know about a recent. This was recent when their son was killed.
He was murdered. Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
And then what I don't understand. Yes, and the thing that's so crazy. He was 21.
No, in 2021.
Oh, in 2021. Oh man. Well, I have the number. I have to call and at least just comfort him. I somehow I missed that, but it's just it's so strange. This movement to try to relinquish gun control. I mean, it's so I don't know. It's bizarre. I mean, now after the young man who went into the school in Parkland and killed all those children, I don't even understand that. After the death penalty was not given to him, he didn't get the death penalty. Now I understand there's a movement to try to make the death penalty not as hard to acquire, because they want to try to make it to be not required unanimous, but a majority. Well, it's already Florida just has a history of wrongfully convicting people and putting them on death row. That's just reality.
Yes,
Florida
yes,
has traditionally led the nation. So what we got to, I have to call my congressman about this bill too, because no, that's not going to make, no, that is not going to solve the problem. It really isn't. But reasonable measures of gun control and trying to keep these guns, these assault weapons, out of the hands of people who have mental illness or hate, self-hate or whatever, that's so important in trying to protect, especially protecting our children.
Yes. That's what Biden, Biden had sponsored legislation years ago to ban assault weapons, and that assault weapon ban was in place for 10 years.
Yes, sir.
And I think it was George W. Bush that wouldn't renew the assault weapons. And since the assault weapon ban has been lifted, there's been like a 20 to 40% increase in mass murders, and that has been the primary weapon of choice. I don't know what it's going to take. And you're looking, I'm not against guns.
Right, I understand.
It's just ridiculous, and I don't know when we're going to wake up. We got more guns than anybody else in the world. So, did you want to make more comment about that?
Just you made the point. Wake up. We definitely have to wake up. But I wanted to go back briefly to what Jay said about, we got to make sure we got to make sure we learn the issues, and we got to mobilize folks out to vote. We cannot take this lightly, and we got to participate in the process. Also, one other quick thing on the juries, the folks who we have opportunity for jury duty. It's an honor to serve, and it's not something that we've had the privilege of doing for a long time. And there's going to be justice meted out one way or another, whether we participate or not. So we just got to remember. We just got to remember these rights are so valuable, and we have to exercise them.
We're at the end of the show. Donald, you want to give me your contact information again as we close out?
Yes, Donald Watson, 772-285-8406 is my mobile number. You can reach me at info@championshipchronicles.com, info@championshipchronicles.com, or my other email is P as in prosperity, J as in joy, B as in Bravo, UCK60 at AOL.com, PJBuck60 at AOL.com. Did anyone have an answer to the trivia question?
No answer.
Okay.
Thank you, Donald. We're at the end of the show. God bless you all. And I'll see you next Wednesday right here.
Port St. Lucie, the talk of the
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.